Good morning, boys and girls, and welcome to the Southern Ring of the Stink Bug Works. I just got done watching Big B's video, and I'm here working on this thing, and he's saying, it's always a good thing to have a sheet of carbon fiber laying around. And Big B, I couldn't agree with you more. In fact, I'm going to talk about what I'm going to do with this. Anyway, the real reason I'm going to talk today is right here. I have a plan. Stand by. Well, Big B's video is fresh in my mind. He hit that, boating is not cheap. And 99 out of 100 times, that's absolutely right. Every now and then you can make a cheap one. I've tried some of the cheap ones, like the little jet stepper and that Depron thing. In fact, the Depron thing using this, I think I may make a wood tub for that. We'll see. Anyway, back to the subject at hand. This is why the thing's so damned expensive. I at first planned to use one of these vibration dampening connectors between the motor and the coupler, because remember, I have a coupler and then a motor connector and a bearing in here because I'm sticking the motor up here, and if the coupler were here, I couldn't get wrenches on it, and it just wouldn't work. So I have to have the coupler there and the motor up here, and that's what this does. And so I'm getting real close. I need to trim this much off of this shaft here. Steve gives you a real long shaft with these things, and I'll cut some off. That's fine. And then this is how this whole thing's going to work. So this will be a little bit shorter. I am going to use this ring. I like these rings, so I'm going to put this ring in here, and you see where I've dashed two lines. I'm going to mill with a ball end mill grooves in there deep enough that these screws can go in there, and I can adjust the angle of dangle. And then when I'm attaching everything, I'll fill those grooves with these threaded rods in it up with epoxy and carbon fiber. It will also have a support that goes down this plate. Now you see I've drawn this plate here, I don't know, maybe a dozen times. I might need a new piece of tape. But in general, the plan will be for the motor here and a support here and some means here of bolting this whole thing down where I can reach the bolts. So the motor's going to be up here, but there will be bolts here holding the whole thing in place. So it's going to have to be stiff as heck. This is 4mm carbon. I'm going to cut a lot of it away. So this is going to be stiff as can be. This is stiff can be. That'll stiffen things up to where this thing will be rock solid. So with this small motor, this is a, is it 80 or 90 grams? I think it's a 90 gram motor. 90 gram motor, that should be okay. Cantilever not like that. It'll be just fine. So that's my plan for that. Now, one thing I had to do, these screws that mount the motor, if you were to use that kind of motor mount, would crash with these couplers that you get from eBay. Now, these are good couplers. They're nice and concentric. They're let's face it, it's a rod with a hole in it, and it's easy enough to get that close enough for model boat tolerances. I turned it down a little bit just because it was kind of big and ugly in there. I thought a smaller one would look good. And, Big B mentioned this on the couplers that you get from Steve. And I'm seeing that on some of these, and I actually think these are more for CNC machine drives and such. But they're using these M4 grub screws instead of the M3 that you find on, that's M4, instead of the M3s that you find on many of the smaller things. When you're putting a lot of power through your system, it's nice to have bigger chunks. I just went to, was it McMaster Car? No, it might have been on eBay. I just went to someplace on eBay, and I ordered a bag of 200 stainless steel M4 grub screws that are 3 millimeters long from China, so it'll be on a slow boat. And they were like $6. So for 200 of them for $6, I'll wait. And that way, I have a bag of 4 millimeter steel, will rust at any time, grub screws that should be replaced with stainless. Anything else, boys and girls? What do you want to see run next? Next outing, I'm going to take the American Spirit. I've got the turn fin dialed in a little better. I dropped down a prop size. I was running an X640 that had been detongued. I dropped down to an was it a 630? Yeah, an X638 that's been detongued. My goal for this right now is not speed. I'm looking for handling, and then we'll deal with speed. So get it to corner the way I want it to corner, and then we'll get it to go faster. So that's choice number one. Choice number two, I'm thinking of bringing out the systems. And what do you want to see? Do you want to see the Bug again? I put a different motor in it. Well, same motor, just a different one, because the one I was running before, the bearings sounded kind of noisy. So there's a different motor in it, same brand, same everything. Or do you want to see the Cobra M427? That's that little $130, what I think is a really nice little race boat. Anyway, until next time, boys and girls, jet out. Oh, boys and girls, welcome back. I forgot to tell you one thing. I forgot to tell you the coolest thing about my little motor mount design. We were talking about how this was going to bolt on here and how this was going to be here and so forth. But that's a real long shaft from here to here. And I shouldn't be spinning this big long shaft at high RPM all cantilevered out like that. So if it's the least bit out here, this end is going to be really exaggerated. So it needs some support. These three little white things here, those are full ceramic bearings. They're going to go inside this carbon fiber tube that has a grommet on it. And it's going to go into a piece that will look like this. And the grommet will go in that hole. And then the rest of this will just be free for the moment and I'll slide that over here. Once everything's all bolted up, the bottom of this, I'll cut a slot in there to fit this, and just when it's in its own position, fill that sucker full of epoxy and carbon fiber to where this will now be wherever these bearings are, and it'll have just a little bit of vibration dampening. Not much, just a little bit. So if anything's the least bit out, it's not going to go. It'll. We don't want that painful sound. So anyway, there you go. So it'll be a bitchin' little setup. What do you think? It'll go into here, and that's about where the collet will be. Right about there. Right about where the collet should be. Okay, boys and girls, for real this time, jet out.